Don't know where it's going. Let's just go ahead and fail out now. You know what? Sometimes these intro jams are good, and sometimes they're just not. But you know what? They always just are what they are. So welcome back to another video, guys. And I thought I would talk about something that I didn't realize when I was learning it as a much younger player. I got very, very lucky. I had amazing guitar teachers. And at the time, I didn't realize what I was learning, just how crucial it would be down the road, and how nowadays I do it so much without thinking about it. But you know, there's certain things that I learned that I'm like, wow, I literally use this every day that I'm playing guitar or working on a song, you know, coming up with lessons. And I thought, you know what, maybe I should shed a little bit of light on it. That way, if you are, I guess it could go for any guitar player, but if you're a beginner not wanting to learn some of this, you know, quote unquote boring stuff, I'm telling you what, you are going to find out later that the more of this you know, it's just, you never stop using it. You know, it only becomes more valuable the older you get and the longer you've been playing. So let's go ahead and dive on into these. Not so much tabs for this one, but we're just going to talk about some concepts. So let's get it. Now, the first thing that I was learning, I would have been around, you know, 15 years old when I started playing guitar. So 15, 16, right around those ages when I was just starting out. My guitar teacher made me learn the notes on the fingerboard, which I thought was incredibly boring. And the way that he did it was, you know, we just had a chart that had all the notes on there, but he would also write out a scale that I was working on. Like, we started on the major scale before we did the pentatonics, and basically he wrote it out not in notation, but in tabs. Like, instead of if it was A major, he would be like, okay, A note on the low E string, then B, and go through it that way. And I needed to figure out these notes. So I didn't realize what was happening, but he was teaching me possibly one of the most important things you'll ever learn on guitar if you are wanting to venture into theory. Now, if you have no interest in theory, no interest in any of that kind of stuff, if you never learn the notes on the guitar neck, it'll never hinder you. Like, if you just want to sit there, play a few chords, enjoy strumming along at home, you know, then this stuff is not that detrimental to not learn it. Now, if you're the kind of person who wants to play solos and do all this other stuff, it's pretty dang important. And I know that I use this constantly, and it's not even like a thing that I think of anymore, but just knowing what notes. So, like, if someone, even if you're jamming with someone and they're over there kind of going like, you know, could be a very simple riff like that. You know, just knowing notes, I could stack notes on top of it, you know. And I'm not using too much theory other than I'm just looking for E notes, because I know it's an E chord, so. But even knowing how to play over that with your pentatonic scale, knowing where your E note is to get that box one, it's super crucial. Of course, knowing your scale and knowing the notes that make up the scale is also very important. But just to be able to know the notes, think about this. If you were playing with a piano player, for example, they're not going to know this fret means this note. What if they're just kind of like, okay, it's B, and, you know, or it's an A note and whatever. I don't play piano, so I don't know, you know, probably correct piano slang. But if they're just telling you, okay, here's an A note, you know, and it's a real high pitched one, and you're like, oh, okay, so obviously not that A, not that A, not that A. Oh, that's the A that they're talking about. They're like, okay, then it goes A, B, and then C. You know, maybe that's what they're doing on the piano. They're like, okay, and then we're gonna go E, D, F. You know, there's your notes, and I know that because I know the notes, you know, so I think just knowing the notes on your fingerboard really helps you communicate, especially with other instruments, you know, things that don't have frets, that you can't just be like, oh, play 10th fret on the B string, and it's like, no, they don't know that, but they know A, you know, they know B, they know all these notes. So I think understanding that is the first step to understanding just the language of an instrument. Now the next thing I want to show you guys is something that, again, I learned it, but I didn't realize how important it was. And it's a deeper understanding than just saying the scale. So when I learned the scales, like I said, I started on the major scale. We did C major down here. I'm going to show you guys A major right here. But there's two main ways, in my opinion, that you can play an A major scale. And we're not talking about playing the chords of the scale, nothing like that just yet. But, you know, you can do it like this, which is known as the 3-note per string version. Which is a really great way to do it. And there's also what I've always referred to as the more box position, you know. I don't know if it has an actual name for it, but that's just how I learned it. So I learned it these two different ways. And what, again, you know, my teacher would make me do is I needed to understand what exactly I was playing. So both of these are really powerful for different reasons. Now, I think that this box shape that you learn is really good for understanding more chordal, you know, ideas. And what I mean by that is just understanding that, okay, root, 2, 3, and you kind of work your way up through the scale. It's the same thing, same exact notes, same order. Root, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up. But this is more laid out how your chords are going to be. And you have this understanding of, okay, so if I wanted to make this minor, boom, what if I wanted to make it, you know, a suspended second or a minor 7, all these different things. Well, understanding how to play the scale in both of these different ways helps a lot with that. Because if I was just basing this off of this, well, technically in this version, you know, my minor third would be up here. You know, that's the first place it kind of appears. You know, and here it kind of shows up down here, but you can kind of keep going with it. You know, there it is again. So I'd be like, okay, like that's the note that I need to play? I'm sorry, that'd be a 2. I'm like, I don't even understand how that works. But understanding this one, right away I'm like, okay, there's that. Or like I said, you could do different chords. You could do suspended seconds, add 9s, lots and lots of different chords with that one. But I didn't realize how much just learning those two basic, you know, scale shapes were going to, well, shape things for me. Now the next thing we're going to talk about, and I'll probably leave off with this one, is triads. Now triads is something that I, you know, reference all the time. It's a big way of how I visualize the fingerboard, you know, when I'm just trying to improvise or solo or any of that kind of stuff. I'm seeing a lot of triads. Now if you don't know what triads are, it's basically 3 notes. And they're making up a chord. So we're working on the key of A. So here's an A major triad. And why is it major? Because it has our root, our third, and our good old 5th right there. Okay? Now anywhere you have this combination is a triad. But what's really interesting about it is, for one, those are like, you know, the chord tones of an A major scale. But also, it doesn't sound as much like a scale whenever you're going like this. No, if you're going like this, I'm sorry. So what I'm saying is, whenever I'm seeing these, I'm seeing more of a diagonal pattern than just the same horizontal and vertical patterns of the scale. So like I said, if you played your scale, that breaks it up quite a bit. Those intervals are different than if you had just one. Okay? Now having, again, the triad understanding of where just those 3 basic things are, you can manipulate them. And this is really where the scale ties in with your triad. So, like I said, if I wanted to make this a minor, well, knowing that scale shape, I know this is my major third, so right behind it is going to be my minor third. All I do is alter one note, because a minor chord is a root minor third and 5th. Boom, now I have a minor. Well, what if I took this back one more? Well, now I have same thing as my 2. Okay, yeah, that B note, B note. And that's because it's all right here. So now, I have what's called a suspended second chord. There's no third, it's replaced by your 2. Same thing if I had went like this. Okay, I moved my third up to the 4. Now I have a suspended 4. And you can move this particular shape. It's really inspired to move all over the place. Has a cool kind of jazzy sound to it. I'm telling you what, use your triads. I use it in rhythm all the time, and just building solos. Like I said, when I'm soloing, boom, there's another triad right there. A major. So other than that, guys, I will leave you off with that one. Like I said, just some new thoughts I was having. So I thought maybe I'll make a video about it. Maybe there's someone who's learning this stuff who is, curious how beneficial it is. Well, it's extremely beneficial. You'll never regret learning these things. And other than that, I'm going to bounce out of here. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. If you want to check out my free guitar course, you can. It's linked down below. And other than that, I'm going to see you all later. Bye, guys. Whoop! You know what? I haven't given you guys a jam track here for a little while, so let's hit it with some jams. G major.